When Ariane 6 rose from the launch complex in French Guiana carrying the Sentinel-1D satellite, France made it clear that the success of the mission depended on far more than a flawless rocket countdown. Around the jungles and shoreline of Kourou, the country quietly showcased a hardened security envelope built for an era in which small unmanned aircraft can deliver outsized strategic impact. At the heart of this posture stood teams armed with the Mistral three-man portable air defense system, deployed not as a publicity stunt but as a concrete demonstration that European space infrastructure is now treated as a defended military objective in its own right. The decision to integrate a frontline very short-range air defense missile into launch security reflects the speed at which the threat landscape has evolved. Off-the-shelf drones, custom quadcopters, and compact fixed-wing platforms have become tools for intelligence gathering, harassment, and coercion. They can approach at low altitude, with a small radar and thermal signature, easily masked by clutter and terrain. In many recent incidents across Europe, including those affecting major airports and sensitive sites, even unconfirmed drone sightings have triggered costly shutdowns and diversions. That pattern has underscored a blunt reality: the actor with the cheapest platform can impose disproportionate disruption if defenses are unclear, uncoordinated, or purely symbolic. France's approach in Kourou is the opposite of symbolic. The long-standing Titan framework, which choreographs the actions of armed forces, security units, and surveillance assets during launch windows, has been re-energized and adapted to modern airspace challenges. Naval and coastal elements monitor maritime access routes, patrols secure riverine approaches, aerial surveillance feeds a common operational picture, and ground units stand ready to react within seconds. Into this architecture, Mistral 3 is plugged in as a last resort but high-confidence tool, able to physically remove a non-cooperative aerial threat if softer measures fail or if the situation demands a decisive response. Technically, Mistral 3 is well suited to this mission profile. Its imaging infrared seeker and advanced processing allow it to lock on to targets with minimal thermal output, including the kind of small drones that can be configured to carry cameras, jammers, or modest payloads. Its high supersonic intercept speed, coupled with a proximity fuse, compresses the window between detection and defeat, denying an intruding aircraft time to loiter above sensitive infrastructure or test defensive boundaries. Deployed from compact firing posts manned by trained teams, the system delivers a flexible, mobile shield that can be repositioned as the threat picture evolves without drawing undue attention. What matters politically is that this defensive shield is being signaled openly. By highlighting the role of armed forces and advanced air defense assets in French Guiana during the Ariane 6 campaign, Paris is deliberately elevating launch protection from a technical security task to a visible element of national and European deterrence. Any attempt to interfere with a mission from Kourou using unmanned systems is being reframed in advance as a challenge to a defended site, one that justifies a rapid and proportionate response. In strategic communications terms, this preempts ambiguity. Potential adversaries, state-linked actors, or opportunistic saboteurs are warned that Europe's space gateway is not a permissive environment. This messaging lands at a moment when the vulnerabilities of critical infrastructure to drones are under intense scrutiny. Recent disruptions at European airports, investigations into drone activity near military facilities, and speculation about probing patterns have fueled concern that unmanned platforms are being used to map blind spots, test reaction times, and calibrate political risk ahead of more serious operations. The cumulative effect is corrosive. Each closure, diversion, and emergency response erodes public confidence and forces governments to spend more to prove that they remain in control of their airspace. Against that backdrop, France's visible, layered defense of its spaceport reads as an effort not only to protect one launch, but to restore credibility to the broader European security narrative. The implications reach beyond one national facility. Europe's modern governance, economy, and defense posture are increasingly tied to data and services delivered from orbit, Earth observation for climate policy, maritime tracking for sanctions enforcement, secure communications for armed forces, navigation for everything from logistics to precision weapons. Satellites like Sentinel-1D plug into that ecosystem. A hostile actor does not need to destroy a vehicle on the pad to inflict strategic damage, delaying launches, sowing doubts about reliability, or forcing repeated rescheduling can slow the refresh of orbital constellations and undermine confidence in European autonomy. Protecting the launch chain is therefore a matter of safeguarding strategic resilience. By pairing persistent surveillance, inter-service coordination, and kinetic point defense systems such as Mistral 3, France is sketching a model that other European states will be under pressure to emulate. The message is that critical nodes, spaceports, major ports, energy terminals, command hubs, must now be planned and protected as potential targets for hybrid pressure executed through cheap airborne tools. That means clear legal authorities for engagement, technical integration between civil and military sensors, and a toolkit that ranges from jamming and geofencing through to precision intercept. The Kourou deployment illustrates how this can be done without militarizing space activities in a theatrical way. Instead, the military layer is present, professional, and calibrated to the risk. Critically, the use of a system like Mistral 3 in this environment shows that counter-drone defense for high-value sites is moving out of the experimental phase. Rather than relying exclusively on bespoke anti-drone gadgets or untested concepts, France is leaning on a mature, widely fielded missile that has already been integrated into its command and control structures. This reduces uncertainty and accelerates reaction. Operators know the system, doctrine already exists, and rules of engagement can be adapted rather than invented from scratch. The result is a credible end of the escalation ladder, which, paradoxically, may help ensure it never has to be used. In a security climate where a few kilograms of composite material, batteries, and code can generate strategic headlines, the shield raised over Ariane 6 sends a measured but unmistakable signal. Europe intends to treat its access to space with the same seriousness it applies to defending its air bases or naval ports. Those who view drones as a low-risk instrument for coercion or spectacle will find that, at least above Kourou, the airspace is no longer an easy arena. The deployment of Mistral 3 and the broader layered posture around the launch mark a quiet doctrinal shift. Europe's route to orbit is now protected not only by engineering margins and trajectory calculations, but by a standing promise that any threat approaching from below will meet prepared, lawful, and, if necessary, decisive force.